poll question we were asking you, do you feel guilty if you stink up a public restroom? 80% of people said no, that's where I'm at. Doesn't bother me to stink up a public restroom. 20% of people say it depends, and I'm not sure what that means.
I would say...
I guess maybe where the bathroom is?
No,
where it's at?
It depends based on who you make contact with leaving the restroom, okay? And I didn't vote in the poll, but that's where I sit, it depends. Because what if you're in a public restroom, and like here we have to use a public restroom. It's at work, right? And but it's very public because anybody who uses the building can use the restroom. You go, like if I stink up the restroom and I walk out and a coworker is like standing there,
I just grin.
like waiting for the rest, like the one stall that we have.
Yeah. It's ready for you.
Come on.
That bothers you? I love that.
You grin out of embarrassment.
No, it's not like we're using, it's a public restroom that we have to, it's a, what do they call that? Unisexual? Is that what it's called? The unisex bathroom?
Yeah, it's not like it's one toilet.
But I mean, it's not like we're using it with women. That would be different. But it's guys. And, we all know each other real well here. So I'll just, there was a guy in there yesterday. I was using the stall or the urinal. He was in there and I was on my way out and two of our coworkers were on their way in. And I'm like, you might want to give it a few. But, I was thinking about this.
Yesterday, I was sitting there washing my hands because it was actually busy in there. There was like 5 people in there, 2 waiting for bathrooms.
Yeah. We could use a bigger bathroom.
2 using the bathroom and another one washing their hands. And I was like, gosh, this is a busy bathroom. And I was like, I wish you ever look up a business on Google and it will show you what the busy times are of that business. Like
we need that for our bathroom.
Yeah, we do.
We do. But I was thinking about this depends thing, and I was thinking, well, if I'm on an airplane and I have to go back, and I've been that person sitting by the toilet, so it's like I would feel bad. I've actually done this before, where it just sometimes happens, and you gotta do that, and then I'll just sit in there, and I know there's probably people waiting, but I'm like, well, we just gotta let this air out a little bit, even though there's no window to open at 30,000 feet, so you just kind of sit there, and you get that little thing you twist to get fresh air, and you're moving it around and. So in that situation, because everybody is stuck in this tube and you can't get fresh air, yeah, that's the only time I would probably feel bad in a public situation.
805 Beer text line. Kevin writes in. He asks the question, is it rude to tell someone in a public restroom, like an airport, to wrap it up because they've been sitting in there for too long?
It's a rest. I mean, it's an airport. There's other bathrooms, right? I mean, I guess some smaller airports like we have around here, that might be an issue, but gosh.
He says 10 minutes.
Well, sometimes
if somebody's been in there for 10 minutes and you're waiting.
Then maybe they're trying to get some work done.
You're like, hey, other people.
Maybe they're changing.
Is it okay to say, hey, other people? I would never do this.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't care.
So I would say, yes, it is rude to tell somebody in a public restroom to wrap it up because who knows what their situation is. Okay, let's role play this a little bit, all right? You're the person in the stall. You've been in there for over 10 minutes, all right? Mm-hmm. And we're all waiting, and there's, and we're like, hey, buddy, hey. You've been in there for like over 10 minutes. Can you wrap it up? Yeah, I know. I'm taking a nap, jerk.
Yeah, get out of here, man. Go take a nap somewhere else. I think if someone said that to me, I'd be like, no, I'll be out when I'm out. And then I would just sit there and do nothing for another 10 minutes. That's kind of how I would handle it. But you can, roll the dice. Maybe you get somebody who feels bad. He's adding more details, so I'm calling him. This is what we're going to do. If you're going to send us your text messages, pull up the phone. I'm calling him right now. Are you there? Hello? No? I think your dialing needs some work. Do I have to dial 805? No, just dial the number. We're not in that condition now? Because he says that it happened to him in Hawaii, where there's only 2 stalls. I guess you're at a small airport in Hawaii. Oh, sure. They have a lot of small airports. You go from airport island to island. Mm-hmm. I see. I mean, that's a tough situation because you don't want to do the deuce on the plane. Good morning. Okay, so what happened?
Okay, so I went over there, just got back. I'd been golfing all day, 36 holes, drank beer the entire time. Oh yeah, gluten. It's a tiny airport. There's seriously like 2 bathrooms or 2 stalls in the bathroom. And these 2 guys were in there for flipping ever. And, I had just gone through the security line, and I had to go. Like, beer was calling.
Mm-hmm. Gluten.
So,
Yes.
just like, you pull the doors to check, and just start to sweat.
The sweat.
I didn't say anything, but I'm like, is it rude?
Yes. No, it is not. If you're sweating and now you've got that cramp and you're clenching your teeth together because you're having to hold every muscle in one place so we don't have a major problem on the flight back.
And I mean, the guy was in there for so long, like, I could finish, clean up, and he was still sitting there. Hadn't even, flushed or nothing.
Now,
I think you bang on the door.
Do you explain your whole story to him? You're like, hey, guys, don't mean to be rude, but I just golfed 36 holes, drank a ton of beer, and you know how that could affect a person and an individual. I need to get on a flight to go back to California. Could you please help a brother out here?
Yeah.
I think you could just say, hey, we got an emergency out here. I'm either coming over the top or you're getting out of there, but I'm coming in one way or the other.
Open up those legs. I'm sitting on your lap.
No. Not in an airport bathroom.
Oh, my God. Wasn't there a congressman in Idaho that got in trouble for that?
How did you remedy the situation? Were you able to hang on?
One person was nice enough to finish.
Yeah? Okay. All right.
That's very true. You guys ever use those family bathrooms?
Yes, I take advantage of them as much as possible.
I don't have kids. I don't know if Kevin, do you have kids?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you guys have kids. So you can take your kids in there and you're fine. I, on the other hand, don't have kids, but it is the bathroom of choice when I'm at an airport because you go in, you lock the door, you got the whole place to yourself. It's usually pretty clean.
It's like an office, yeah.
Well, I come out of there. I'm at LAX, and we're getting ready to get on a plane, and I'm like, okay, this omelet didn't sit well. Anyways, so I come out.
Bathroom it is.
I come out. There's two families sitting there waiting for this room, and they're just giving me the dirtiest look.
Yeah, but okay.
Because it's like a handicapped person upset with you because you use the handicap stall.
But here's the deal: is you're part of a family, right?
That's right.
I mean, you have.
I'm the head of the family.
So for them to say that it's only relegated to people with kids. There used to be a grocery store on Broad. Now it's becoming a dollar store. The Fresh and Easy.
Yeah.
They used to have spots up front next to the handicap spots that were for people with kids only. And I thought, that's not flying. Everybody and their brothers park into those spots.
All these little rules, these societal rules. All right. I use the handicap stall if no one's around. I risk it. I'm going to be quick. There's more room in here. I like it better
you
in
should
here.
be able to use the handicap stall.
Any port in the storm, man. If it's got to come out,
yes, exactly. It's not like you could discriminate and be like, oh, well, you know what? Your BM is so much more important than my BM today.
I'll tell you what. And if you roll up and I see your wheels sitting outside my stall, I'll hurry up. That's my promise to you. All right. Thanks, Kevin.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Glad everything worked out.
Can you imagine? Oh, my gosh. That is one thing you don't want to mess with, is when you have to do this before you get on an airplane and you have to travel. Probably the only good thing is hopefully you always carry a change of clothes in your travel on.
Henry writes in, he says he's got 200 employees where he works. Well, more than 200 plus.
How many toilets you need for 200 employees?
Yeah, what the legal limitations are. He writes it. He says 200 plus employees, and they have 4 bathrooms with 1 toilet in each bathroom.
So they have 4 toilets for 200 people.
Yeah. So you're talking about 50 people per toilet. Is that what the minimum is?
That can't be right.
He says it's impossible to use the bathroom at work because they're all locked all the time, and most of the time people are just sitting in there on their phones doing whatever, taking a break.
Yeah.
So I guess this has just turned into a discussion about bathroom etiquette for the most part. The poll question we're asking you, do you feel bad if you stink up the bathroom at a public restroom and it is open the doors to all kinds of
some people are really sensitive about it.
Kevin calling in, or we contacted Kevin. And he said, he was playing golf all day long and he really needed to go, and the stalls were occupied, and you have to, at that point, you have to say something like, hey, guys, you got to hurry up in there. You got to help a brother out here. Can you do that? I don't think there's a scenario in which I would ever do that. I mean, but I'm not up against it either,
Well, if it's an emergency, it's an emergency. You've seen me in an emergency situation where I didn't even have time to make it to a bathroom. So it all depends on that urgency of, what you got to do when you got to do it.
You used the field.
Yeah, I used
or a golf course. Actually.
Yeah, it was right behind the bunker. Somebody said, do it in the bunker. I'm like, no, I'm not doing the bunker. Are you kidding me?
was.
But I thought it probably would have been easier. It would have been like a cat box at that point.
So you went over by the maintenance shed, which was probably really nice for those guys working the golf course that day.
No, they just kept lawnmowers and things like that in there.
Yeah, but somebody had to go get those lawnmowers. That's the problem.
Hey, thanks for hanging on. Go ahead.
Anybody ever use the women's restroom? I do that all the time.
Oh, Jeremy's done this before.
Oh, I do it here. Yeah, I get the gal up front, Linda. She's a sweetheart. She'll watch for me. I mean, if I get here sometimes, right around 5 a.m. I feel like it's safe to go in the women's bathroom at 5 a.m. and take care of business. It's always cleaner in there. It smells better. Anyways,
it's so nice.
But
it's so nice.
I've been in the women's room. and they're worse.
Yeah.
Oh, they are?
Oh, really? Oh, well, I guess we're fortunate here.
At AJ Spurs in Templeton, I've been in that one, and when hopefully you get in there, and on your way out, you don't run into anybody. But I run into people on the way out. I look at the door, and then I pretend like I'm drunk. I just come staggering out like I don't know what I'm doing.
Have you ever accidentally went into the women's restroom? This happened to me.
I do it intentionally.
My wife's Christmas
Thanks,
party.
buddy.
This was the most embarrassing thing ever, okay? So when my wife was working for another company, she had a Christmas party. It was at
Ventana Grill.
I
think you told me this.
It was Pelican Point back then. And it was downstairs, and I had to get up and use the restroom, and it was while everybody was doing their speeches and they're giving away the prizes and all that stuff. So I figured it was an opportune time. Well, I'm not even paying attention. I think I was looking at my phone, and I walk in the bathroom, and I walk into the stall, and I sit down in the stall. I start doing my business. Then I hear click, clack, click,
You hear
clack,
the heels.
click, heels. Then I look over, and there's a little garbage can in the stall.
Now you know. Wait a second.
And I'm like, So then what I do is I put my feet up on the wall so she can't look underneath the stall to see, because it's obvious that I'm wearing men's shoes, right? I put my feet up on the stall, and I'm quiet as a mouse. I don't make a noise. And I wait for her to do her business, and then I quickly get done, and then I'm like, I had to do the no wash. I had to do the no wash because you can't wash your hands.
You got to get out of there.
I had to get out of there as
Go to
quickly
the men's
as
bathroom,
possible.
wash your hands.
I was like listening for feet coming down the hallway, and I was like walk out all quickly. But I had like to wait like a certain amount of time for that lady to leave and not and be like clear of the area before I came walking out. Oh, so embarrassing.
KZFZ.com. So 80% of people say they don't feel bad for sneaking up a public bathroom. 20% say, well, maybe it depends on the situation. Maybe it's because you're on an airplane. There was a new study that was done, and if you're flying for the holidays and you've got the window seat, this is why I always take the aisle seat, because you can get up as many times as you want, not bothering anybody. But if you got the window seat and you need to go to the bathroom, how many times can you actually, get up without bothering somebody? What do you think?
I would say we're doing an over-under here. I'm going to set it at 2. No, I'm going to set it. Yeah. Well, how long of a flight?
I guess it doesn't really go into that.
So we'll say.
But I'm sure if it was a 12-hour flight versus a 2-hour
you
flight,
get more leeway.
The number's different.
Let's do it per hour.
But
I would say 0.25 per hour. So that means a 2-hour trip, you are allowed to get up half a time. Okay, that's.
you can't get up half a time.
Okay, maybe not 0.25. 0.5. We'll go 0.5 per hour. Okay, that's okay. So on a 2-hour trip, you're allowed to get up once. A 4-hour trip, you're allowed to get up twice. 6-hour onwards, 3 times, and so forth.
According to this
Once
survey,
every 2 hours.
you have exactly one chance to do this and get it right, meaning you can get up once. People said even if they were sleeping and you woke them up, they wouldn't care, but only one time. If you did it more than once, then that's where they have a problem with you.
But it depends on the length of the flight, too.
Yeah, and how many cocktails you're kicking back. Kicking back a bunch of cocktails, you might have to go a few times.
Well, that's why you want the aisle seat. If you're a cocktail, and that's how the airlines should really.
You're a drinker?
Sparse it out.
Drinkers should be on the aisle.
Well, yeah, they should ask. In the screening process, they say, "Okay, you have a window seat. Do you plan on drinking a lot in this flight today?"
We've talked about this before, but as soon as the plane takes off and that first ding comes on that you can turn on your electronics, and people are getting up, taking off their seatbelts. Ma'am, you got to sit down. The seatbelt sign is still lit. It's like, wait, we haven't even been gone from the airport for 20 minutes. Are you serious? Like, you didn't go before you got on the plane? Or you can go before they shut the door and, they
I wonder
take off.
if that is a defense a trick, a hack for possibly security. Like, say you're a full-on aisle guy, but there's been times I'm sure you're stuck on a window seat, right?
Sure.
If you were
when
to
I
go,
ride with my wife.
If you were to go, well, then you have to just deal with it. But if you're traveling,
I don't care if I bother her.
If you're traveling alone, if you went to the ticket agent, you said, I plan on having some cocktails on this flight today, and I might be using the restroom. I'd hate to inconvenience anybody. Is there a way I could get an aisle seat? If they would be accommodating to that.
Why couldn't you just ask for an aisle seat and they would give it to you? Why would you have to say that it's because you plan on drinking heavily?
Well, because there would be, unless you have some kind of excuse, they'd be less likely to give it to you. You see what I'm saying?
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I can change seats right before I board the plane.
I once was on a plane where it was a sold out plane, totally sold out. And this chick said that her kid was going to ride on her lap, but she couldn't ride on her lap because she was taking her sick cat to a vet to where the plane was going. And the kid was not under the age of 2 because I was having a conversation with the kid as the kid sat on my lap.
I would have took the cat. I think I would have said...
She said that I couldn't take the cat. I said, you sure you don't want me to take that? She said, no, cat can only sit on my lap. Do you mind if my kid sits on your lap?
Was the kid fat?
The kid was like 4.5.
A fat kid?
This was way before the airline policy got rigid on this.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
And I was I had a tight connection, and I was the last one on the plane, and they were holding out hope that I would not show up. I did show up.
I'm here.
And they're like, oh, okay, you showed up. Well, here's our situation. This kid was going to ride on her mom's lap, but her mom's got a sick cat that's got to ride on her lap.
Why can't the cat ride in the cage under the seat?
Because it was sick and it needed to be like comforted, so it needed to ride on the lap of the mother.
You're a good human.
And in its little cage.
This was a short flight or a long flight?
It was a 45-minute flight.
Okay, so that's not.
But the kid started getting heavy, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Was it a fat kid?
No, it wasn't a fat kid, but it was like a 4.5-year-old kid.
I can't stand when someone's leg touches mine because they're too big for the seat that they're in. I can't imagine if they said, "Hey, let my kid sit on your lap."
It made that seatbelt thing very awkward.
I would have been ordering drinks. Hey, let's get another round of drinks over here.
So anyways, they will make accommodations for you if you have special needs. And your special need is that you need to have cocktails while you're on the flight and use the restroom quite a bit. You should be able to request an aisle seat.
The chaos continues. You're listening to Jeff and Jeremy on 93.3 KZOZ.